Brace yourselves. About to throw down this first gauntlet. Let's go. First and foremost, want to give a shout out to Ches Charday. I was recently on one of her panels that she had at her channel. She had a nice live stream, and it was just simply talking about the type of men that a lot of the BWs overlook. And I brought up an interesting idea about that. Before I get to that idea, just look in the description section and you'll see the link to the actual live stream that I did at her channel. And when you click on that link, just go to about the 52nd minute mark. Yeah, the 52-minute mark. And that's where you see me jump on the panel. That way y'all can really see how I interacted with her and gave her my perspective. Basically, I'll be saying similar things to what I said to her on the panel, but I'm gonna make it more exclusive for this channel here. So let's go in with this this first gauntlet, shall we? Well, as I said at her channel, the type of men that are overlooked by most of the BW is the hardworking men. So yes, the first gauntlet to this gauntlet series that I'm gonna throw down is hardworking BMs are. Yes, the hardworking brother is overlooked in many ways. And here's how. Well, you know, the hardworking man, he represents the reality. He represents the reality. And a lot of these other guys represent the fantasy. Who are these other guys that represent her fantasy? Well, simply put, the guys that represent her fantasy are the guys that entertain her. The guy that's in the reality is actually trying to train her. Not run a train, so no pun intended. So this is what I mean. The guys of her fantasy that are trying to entertain her are usually the guys on the block, you know, all the D-boys, bad boys, gangbangers, the PIs, you know, the pimps, the hustlers, the street macs, you get it. Those kind of guys. Then you got some other guys that are trying to entertain her. You got the athletes, you got the comedians, you got the dancers, you got the singers. And if we look out here on these streets, whether YouTube streets or Instagram, TikTok streets, these online streets, as well as these offline streets with whoever she liked the most growing up in high school, middle school, you name it, and even on to college. She always preferred the guy that could entertain her fantasy versus train her in this reality. She didn't want to get around the kind of guy that's gearing her more for reality. She'd rather stick in that fantasy. And the funny thing is, when all the fun and games are over with, she's stuck with how to really deal with life. And for the most part, a lot of the lesser feminine, they tend to run away from that. Hence, you know, when people talk about their lack of accountability, well, a lot of it is, a lot of them just don't know how to count. And a lot of them can't take account to what has taken place in their life, the way things have taken place. But see, that's the thing with the hardworking man. There's no shortcuts with him because he has to do everything the hard way. Because of the way life is, the way life has been bestowed onto him. But the hard work does pay off. And then he eventually learns not to work so hard. He works much smarter. So that's the thing about the hardworking man, this process, this reality of life, to where he has to really get a lot of things that he has to take with him. And, you know, as his life starts to have the twilight years, he could take a lot of this as part of his legacy and be able to share that with the world. But see, if he has the wrong type of the feminine in his life, she's not going to appreciate his legacy at all. She could care less. She could care less because she's all caught up on her fantasies at that time, not the reality, not what really needs to get done. Not what really needs to get done. She thinks that hardworking man is boring. She thinks he's boring. That's the sad thing. And not to say too much, don't want to drag this out too long, but I'll just say this, just for the hardworking man. Continue to work hard even though you're overlooked. It's funny how if it's snowing outside, she gonna want you to get her car out the snow. That part. Something that she wasn't trained to do. But she'll call on you. See? That's how that goes. She loves to call on you when things ain't coming through or things are a little blue. You know, she singing the blues. But, you know, she calls on these other guys. I don't know. It's just entertainment, like I said earlier. It's just entertainment. That's all it is. You're the reality, and those other guys are fantasies. I can't explain that enough, and that's why the hardworking brother is overlooked, because you're too much of a reality for her to deal with at that time, and for most of the time. So that's why she doesn't call you all the time. Keep that in mind. And thanks a million.